what did he mean by democracy? He spoke very specifically about the elements of democracy, distancing himself from the freedom agenda and the promotion of democracy simply as terms and as aggressive actions. He talked about the ability to speak your mind, to have a say in how you are governed, to live by the rule of law, to have equal administration of justice, to have governments that are transparent and without corruption, and to have freedom to live as you choose. Also to govern by consent and not coercion. And he made specific points about religious freedom and women's rights. He talked about these as universal values, as universal human rights, not as American values. And I think that was a very valuable distinction that he made. Of course, there are words and there are actions. And this is something that at Freedom House and other organizations are paying very close attention to. The recent slash in funding for democracy programs, specifically in Egypt, but also one might expect in other parts of the world, is a very bad sign, that the words are not being matched by actions. Obama spoke about exchanges, which I thought was a very positive term that he raised, and the importance of people-to-people coming together, visiting the United States, and also Americans visiting the Arab world and Muslim world. Because there is a great deal of misunderstanding. Very much impressions are driven by stereotype, and there's a belief that can be broken through such exchanges. I'll mention, there was one other person that spoke at the speech, other than Obama, and he happened to be on a recent exchange to the United States. There was one moment when he was talking about democracy, when he talked about how we will not let ourselves be ruled by corruption. And someone yelled out in the audience, "I love you." This person happened to be one of the fellows that was on the New Generation Exchange Program last year. Associated with that is, in addition to the thank you that Obama gave to that person, is what kind of relationship and solidarity and protection will he offer to these kinds of activists that are willing to stand up against the corruption and for democracy. And that's another test that I think is yet to be seen. Obama acknowledged mistakes that the United States has made. He said specifically, 9/11 was a trauma, but it caused us to act counter to our ideals. And in solution to that, he acknowledged that the United States will prohibit the use of torture and will close Guantanamo Bay. I think these are two valuable, important steps that are well recognized in the Arab world. On the Palestinian issue, I think enough has been said about it. I think he is projecting a policy that is different from past governments, particularly on the question of settlements. He was very frank and straightforward in saying that settlement activity and growth of settlement must stop. And he used terms that are not often used by American presidents. And he did this in a speech to the Arab world, to the Muslim world. So I take that as very significant coming from an American president in this context. On the question, did he go far enough on the peace process? I think many in the region would contend that he did not. And this is the challenge for moving forward. How much sustained commitment will the United States make to a peace process in the Middle East? Another point which I found interesting was the public versus private debate. Much has been made of quiet diplomacy. And in fact, in recent conversations with American officials, we've been told that this democracy promotion approach that has been used recently is something that we are seeing a significant change in. That the current administration is not ready to pursue the same types of policies as previous administrations. So they talked about quiet diplomacy. We're left with the feeling, well, what does that mean? And I think that what we heard in this speech, I think that Obama defined that in many ways. He talked about quiet diplomacy based on mutual respect. He gave, and I think that in outlining the speech in the way that he did, talking about all the tough issues, being very straightforward and open about them, showing that we can talk about the difficult issues, we can talk publicly about them, and we can do so with respect. And I think that was a foundation of a new way of engaging. As someone who comes from a background in an organization that is in the business of working on democracy and human rights, we're going to be paying attention to the follow-through, to the actions that follow these words. Thanks very much.